Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of LRM Online. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and on this week's podcast, we got some Nick Dawes and Danny K. Bartlett's. Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
I've been better. How are you guys?
I'm good. Danny,
how much have you been better, Nick? What was better than today? How could today have been any better for you? Give me one thing that would have been better had today turned out right.
My aunt wouldn't have died.
Oh, well, that really sucks. That could have been better.
Yeah, that was yesterday, but otherwise I'm good. I'm here with you guys. I'm having a great time.
Apart from today, then.
I am better today.
You know what's weird? As you were saying that, I was like, wait, where are you going with this? We know what happened. What are you just being a jerk? What's happening
on the show?
You could have just said you got laid. You could have got laid today. That would have made your day better. But you had to go down that route.
Sympathy sex always works. It always sells. So on today's show, we've got a twofer for you all. We're going to be having a conversation about Sonic 2, as well as Michael Bay's latest Ambulance. Before we do that, we've got a bunch of news stories. Handful of news stories. We're going to go back to classic Jammer style, where we've got 3 to 5 stories that we go in depth about, and we do our movie reviews, and we shove off and let you enjoy your weekend. Sound good to you guys?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. First up, we're going to be having a conversation. So this is a little bit of a redo. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the show last week, and so my concept of what you all talked about, it's a little bit slow. It's a little bit bad. I apologize for that. It's also bad. I didn't get a chance to listen to the show. I was in DC all week. I wasn't invited to any coke-fueled orgies, but that's probably about me, not them. I'll do my best. We'll see. See what happens.
Well,
what?
That sucks.
You never heard? Oh yeah. How much politics do you pay attention to, Danny? I know there's some.
What, American politics?
Yeah.
It's the only politics there are.
That's all you guys talk about, isn't it? Politics? Republicans versus Democrats about some shit every day. Some law that got passed that the other side doesn't agree with, and everyone doesn't agree with it, and nothing ever happens, and then you vote for a president. Isn't that how it works?
That's how it works. Wait, and you forgot about the midterms.
You have caucuses and tea parties and shit, and then you vote for the guy that's got more red than blue or whatever, and then it all goes wrong again.
Yeah.
No?
You
nailed
it.
All right.
Oh, it's very much the same as the UK. Yeah, very much the same as the UK.
Yeah, you guys have COVID parties and all of the good stuff, but no. So the comment that I made, there was a representative, Madison Cawthorn, and he was talking about being a younger guy in Washington D.C. and they were having coke-fueled orgies that he was invited to, and apparently, I imagine because Kevin McCarthy was very disappointed that he won't get invited back again to these coke-fueled orgies. But that was a joke for anybody that doesn't know. That's what happened. I was in DC and was not invited. But anyway, so I didn't get a chance to listen to the show. Did I crash? Did I crash the party?
Yeah, because you weren't invited. Did you just go anyway? Do you not know who I am?
It's kind of like Picard this week.
That is like Picard this week. What's up, Danny?
Parties.
Sorry, the episode of Picard. Gotcha. I'm a bit slow. Sorry. It's 10 o'clock at night here. Fuck you.
Oh no, 10 o'clock.
So let's talk about somebody that hasn't been invited to the party. Henry Cavill. You guys had a conversation about him last week and the potential story about being replaced by the DCEU's new Supergirl. What I found interesting about that story in light of the news this week. So there was apparently a Rolling Stone exclusive story where Ezra Miller, there was an emergency meeting where DC and Warner Brothers executives were like, hey, we need to talk about the future of this guy, because if you hadn't heard, apparently there was another meltdown with Ezra Miller. He has been the subject of frequent minor meltdowns. Yeah. So in 2020, one of the biggest ones that was recorded, and there hasn't been a lot of explanation of what happened. There's a recording of him just choke slamming a woman, and nothing really came of it. No one knew. There was no explanation, but it's on video. You can go find this video. And so that happened a couple of years ago. Nothing really got said about it. And apparently there are a couple of things, outbursts that have happened on set. And so now Ezra Miller was in Hawaii at the beginning of last month, and he was apparently arrested for harassment and a couple of other things. And so based on that, and a temporary restraining order that was also filed against him. DC and Warner Brothers came in and were like, hey, we need to talk about Ezra, which is funny because it was a movie. We need to talk about Kevin.
I remember.
Speaking of which, it was one of those things. He actually stole the crossbow from the movie, and he likes to talk about it. So, Kyle, what you got? You got another thing?
There's a slight update. I'm not sure if you were going to cover this before, but before you got too far in, a source at this studio reached out to IGN and has said, I'm quoting from IGN, a source with the studio has rebuked the original report from Rolling Stone, telling IGN that no such emergency meeting took place and dismissing the claims as exaggerations, the word they used.
See, that's no fun because in my head, when I'm imagining is if you ever played Among Us, I'm imagining somebody like running over and hitting the emergency button, and they're like, Ezra's sus. We need to talk about Ezra. And so, that's kind of interesting. If it's an exaggeration, it would be, I'm curious what that word means. That could just be a couple of execs had a conversation and said, hey, what are we going to do about this versus an emergency meeting? Like I could see how you could spin that either way. But the reason why I brought this up and tied it to Henry Cavill, if there's any truth to it, it almost makes it seem like it might be easier for them to just reboot everything at the end of this Flashpoint film that they have going on. And the question I was going to ask you all was just that exactly. Does it seem like that's where we're headed? As a corporation, it is very easy to cut ties with individuals. And if it seems like in the wake of Will Smith, there will be any blowback from Ezra Miller's alleged hijinks,
that adds something to it.
It adds fuel to the fire.
Will Smith being
it adds electricity to the Speed Force, right? We'll see. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that that's a possibility? Is that something you would want to see happen and expound?
Oh, there's two questions there. Is that a possibility, and is it something I want to see happen? Is there a possibility? Absolutely there is. And I think it's in the sad situation is it has created a possible get out for this whole Zack Snyder universe rebooting the DC superhero universe. It's not something that they would have liked to have seen, obviously, but it does okay, how could we possibly, and I use the word loosely, benefit from this situation? It does give them an exit strategy. They can say, right, let's just wipe the slate clean, so to speak, and have our separate movies. We can maybe continue with Aquaman, but he can go off on his own universe, potentially with Wonder Woman, because they seem to be the only franchises that are fairly safe at the moment. Well, Wonder Woman maybe not, but I think it's a get out. Would I have to, not based on the last film, I'd be happy not to have another one of those, but I think we've chatted about that. Now, is it something I want to see? Well, we chatted last week. You won't know because you was at a coke-filled orgy, but Jammer and I discussed it. Oh, sorry, you may have been or may not have been. You can't prove a thing.
No face, no case.
I have no recollection of that, Senator.
Until I see a picture of you snipping cocaine off a hooker's ass, I don't believe it's
Crooker's ass.
Or a cooking hooker. Well, they got to multitask nowadays in these COVID times. Right? Who wouldn't want a hooker that can't cook? Anyway, focus, Nick. Focus. I don't want to see Henry Cavill out of the Superman cape just yet. That will be the downside for me. When you ask the second one about whether or not it's something I want to see, I certainly don't. I would like to see Henry Cavill make a Superman sequel, a Man of Steel sequel, or certainly see him in the cape at some point, even if it was a crossover with the other movies. So yeah, mixed bag there. There is a possible get out clause. I don't want to see Henry Cavill not be Superman again just yet.
What about Ezra Miller
though? Honestly, I don't quite get what the huge fuss is about. I found him enjoyable in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I think he had a bit more value and input, and I enjoyed the character more. I don't know why they threw their lot behind him as much as they have, especially with him being in Dumbledore, or not Dumbledore. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, Fantastic
and
Beasts.
Whatever the subtitle is.
Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore for the new one.
So yeah, I'm not. I honestly, at the moment, I'd have to say I don't mind one way or the other. Now, after watching the new Flash film, which I don't think is coming out till next year, I think we covered that last week. maybe you can ask me this question next year and go, oh shit, what a shame he's not being the Flash again, because that was fucking awesome. So I don't know. Right now, I'm not that fussed about it. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge Ezra Miller follower. So yeah, that's me.
I agree. As somebody that had never really latched on to him as the character, I find that he has kind of gotten himself into more of a sticky wicket than Henry Cavill, because there is no misconduct that we know of on Henry Cavill's part. But at least with Ezra Miller, not only is there misconduct, there is a pantheon of Flashes that they could just pivot to. And I think that that's the thing that's going to get him in trouble. The fact that they could just go on to, not only could they just swap him out for Grant Gustafson and be like, hey, this is what happens when you go through the Speed Force a lot. Or they could just go to a Wally West or a Bart Allen or any other version of the Flash that exists out there. Nick Dahl, thoughts, feelings?
I had some interesting thoughts before I get to the question.
Let me hear your interesting thoughts.
My first thought after it happened.
Not your not interesting thoughts.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that he had a history. So my joke to my roommate was like, oh, Warner Brothers and stuff cares, but Amazon obviously doesn't give a shit about anyone. So they're going to keep Homelander, Anthony Starr, and Chloe Sam care about anyone at Amazon. The second one was people were joking online about actually doing face replacement with Grant Gustin. Just CGIing his face over.
Yeah.
Which won't happen. I believe the report that it was overblown. Because like he is a part of two franchises. As far like that it was exaggerated, I mean, that they had that story. And it really puzzles me why they don't want Henry Cavill back, unless they really are trying to wipe all the Zack Snyder under the rug.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before you move on to that, why do you think that it was overblown?
I believe the guy who said it was an exaggeration.
Why?
I don't know, because we're supposed to believe the most recent thing we've heard from Secret Studios. No, that's not. I just don't think that they would. I don't know. It doesn't seem the same as other actors' misconduct as far as like, we got to replace this guy, especially when that means you're replacing a second actor.
So
in Fantastic
try
Beasts.
this though. You did not know that there was a history of violence, as Viggo Mortensen would say, right? We've got a history of violence. We've got an assault on tape that we don't know the history or we don't know the backstory behind, but assume something might be there. We also have this, plus we have things happening behind the scenes in addition to this protective order that was put out, plus the arrest that happened in Hawaii. Now, you said that it wasn't that serious. Is it because you weren't calculating all of that other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so factor that in. Give me an answer.
I think it's easy to get rid of him in the DC universe. And I guess it's easy to get rid of him in Fantastic Beasts because, like I said, they've already recast one actor with troublesome past. It does seem like they're trying harder to be more like Marvel, or Disney, where it's like, oh, you said that on Twitter, like goodbye. I'm mostly talking about Gina Carano, but obviously there was the situation with James Gunn where Warner Brothers immediately snatched him up after the controversy.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah, no, I mean, Disney's good at being like, you're done, like you lost. I did see a nice tweet someone put out a poll yesterday where it's like, do you want to keep seeing Zack Snyder stuff? And everyone's like, yeah, revive the Snyderverse. And I'm like, Ezra Miller might be fired. Ray Fisher wants nothing to do with it. Like Ben Affleck, he's said he doesn't want to do more projects past the Flash. Like he dropped out of the Batman, his version. It's like, and Henry Cavill, according to the rumor, isn't coming back. So you have two members of the Snyderverse left. And then like the Suicide Squad and stuff, which could easily be disconnected. So I don't see a reason to keep doing the Snyderverse. It doesn't bother me either. I don't like the word cancel, but it wouldn't bother me at all if he lost Ezra Miller. I kind of feel the same way about his projects where he's nothing special.
It's not cancellation, it's consequences.
Consequences.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Key and Peele sketches. Consequences.
We've got a successful not reboot, but we've now got a successful new Batman film that could potentially be the franchise there as well, right? We've got a success of Joker, a standalone film. Suicide Squad did well. Peacemaker, is it Peacemaker or Peacekeeper? I always get them two.
Peacemaker.
Mixed up. So that's been hugely successful as a spin-off from the last Suicide Squad, so to speak. So they're already got these.
Aquaman does great.
Yeah, happy franchises that are split away from the Zack Snyder universe. And as you guys are chatting, I'm just sitting there going, poor Henry Cavill, royally fucked from everybody and done nothing wrong at all, other than just
be awesome.
Just being in a film that the huge Superman film fans didn't like for whatever reason. So it really sucks for him. It's like, I guess that's me done being Superman then through no fault of his own. Or maybe not. Who knows right now? But I certainly don't think Zack Snyder universe needs to or can continue.
I think the last thing I'll add to this, one of the things that was kind of interesting, Giant Freaking Robot had a story that came out a little while ago that supposedly they were looking at Grant Gustin to appear in The Flash 2. So even before we got The Flash 1, they were talking about bringing in Grant Gustin in an unnamed role. And I assumed that it was going to be as part of some sort of multiverse because we already had them meet in the Flash TV series. So it wouldn't be hard to imagine. So now this kind of, if that was true, this incident, be it overblown, the conversation they had at Warner Brothers could throw all of that in jeopardy. So we'll see.
I've heard he's a much better Flash, but I have not seen a single episode. I've seen the clip with him talking to Ezra Miller.
Yeah, I enjoy him. I watched the show for a few years. I haven't recently, but it is more enjoyable. But I also think that a lot of what makes his show more enjoyable is the people that they have around him. So like for one, he's just got a great cast around him, folks that you're interested in seeing. So you guys ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple new trailers. We have a trailer for Russian Doll Season 2. We also have a trailer for Top Gun Maverick, a brand new one. Nick Doll. Despite Danny's excitement.
I can do visuals now because we're on video. So if you're listening on a podcast, you can't see, but I'm being an aeroplane. But if you're watching on YouTube, that's me being an aeroplane. See, we can do visuals now thanks to producer Carl. So we can actually be at, there you go. Now you're just being a show, you're being like a dancer on a stage play right there. That was jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Anyway, sorry.
You know what?
Trailers?
Danny, you're so excited about the Maverick trailer. Tell me why you're excited. Did this get you more hyped than the last trailer?
No, I didn't like it as much as last one. Move on.
Really? Why? Tell me why.
No, I'm kidding. I'm so excited about this fucking movie now. Ever since it was first announced, I went, okay, Tom Cruise is not going to be involved in this if he doesn't think it's going to be good. And when those first trailers hit with what I think looks like the most stunning aerial photography, cinematography, filming that I've seen for a long, long time, I cannot wait. I'm so happy that they didn't put it onto the small screen first, that they've been withholding it to see it on that big screen, because some of that aerial photography looks absolutely stunning. Not just how they position the cameras and stuff, but just the environments that they've put those planes into, just absolutely beautiful. I have no idea whether or not the ground-based stuff is going to be cheesy as fuck. I see they've reenacted the volleyball scene, the homoerotic volleyball scene. But to be honest with you, all that aside, I just cannot wait to see anything that is cockpit based. It just looks absolutely stunning. And the sound, obviously difficult to tell when we watch it on the small screens on the TV, but when I've put it through the big TV, the trailers, I cannot wait to hear that with the surround sound and decent sound system, IMAX screen. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. And it just refueled how excited I am about this. It showed us a lot more about what's some of the character some of the smaller character roles are. I don't know whether I missed this in the first one. You guys are going to call me a fucking idiot, but I had no idea that was Goose's son until this trailer.
No, they didn't say
in the very first one, they did not say.
They have not mentioned.
They didn't, did they? And I thought, should I have known that? Because that was suddenly a drop. And I'm like, oh shit, now that's a dynamic now. Yeah, so holy shit, yeah. My dad trusted you. I'm not going to make the same mistake. I thought, fuck, that's harsh. If he knew, wow. So that could be some great stuff there. But honestly, super excited again just to see that aerial photography stuff. It looks absolutely beautiful. I will definitely be there opening day for that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they are stepping up their game as far as the ground stuff. So you've got that tension in that relationship. Plus you've got Iceman maybe we will see him, maybe we won't, but at least we know that somewhere behind the scenes, he's the reason he's back at Top Gun, which is fun, right? Even if he never appears, which I doubt that will happen, I like it as a nice nod between those characters. So Nick, did Danny's excitement get you excited?
I'm already excited. I just remember the trailer. I'm already excited for Tom Cruise doing anything dangerous. Okay. He insisted on flying real jets and stuff, so I'm like, I mean,
to Danny's point, it is, if there is CGI in this, it is hard to spot. Yeah. Like it is not as apparent because, like he said, the environments look really good and the planes look really good. I'm hoping that they did as much practical stuff as they possibly could. So
yeah, me too.
I mean, there's always CGI in these situations. Like the Halo jump in Mission Impossible, it was like over the desert. It wasn't over Paris, so there was CGI replacement there.
Things like that, though. CGI for that just adds to the aesthetics of the shot, but it doesn't take away from the experience of them actually doing live. There was a couple of things. I know we're maybe not going to touch on it a little bit, but the first Moon Knight episode car chase, no spoilers or anything, but there was certainly some elements there where you could see CGI was used, and it took me out of it ever so slightly, ever so momentarily. But you can tell when it's being overused, and well, that clearly wasn't on the edge of that cliff, should we say? So when it's used to touch up real logs or backdrops and stuff, exactly. Real logs. He didn't really get hit by a log, but this one, even in those trailers, I can't see any sign of where CGI could have been used, and that's a great job. I mean, let's face it, they've had a good 3 years to touch up any CGI stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, super excited.
You won't have long to wait to see and hear how good this movie is. I think it drops on 27 May. So it's coming up real quick. Yeah. Nick Doll, we've got another trailer. We've got the Russian Doll trailer. I did not get a chance to see this one, unfortunately. I did really, really enjoy the first season. Kind of surprised they're making a season 2. So Nick, you tell me about this trailer we've got starring Natasha Lyonne.
I was impressed how they're able to do a season 2 because they're going a completely different direction with it involving time travel. Where she's like, there's a scene where it's like, you can time travel. She's like, no, I'm trapped in time travel. Or like some line like that. Like it's about repairing the past, like Picard or something, where she's just not always traveling to the same place either. She's like in like the early 20th century, and then she's like maybe 30 years ago. And
so what you're saying is she's quantum leaping.
Yeah, she's quantum leaping it up. So it looks interesting. And there's a scene where she's with her friend who had the Asian friend who hasn't been trapped in the loop in the first one. And she's like, what year is this? And it's just modern day. And she's like, oh, well, it could have been any time, but like someone whips out a cell phone or something.
What's funny about this, I did not know that this was coming until I even saw that the trailer existed.
Oh, really?
And it's fascinating. Yeah, I
remember it being announced, and I was like, I'll watch it more. Even like, I've watched the first season 3 times. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, so I like that. Netflix kind of sneaks up on you like a stalker. They're like, it's dropping next month. It's dropping at the end of the month. You're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I love that with their trailers or even announcements where it's like, guess what you're getting in a week? Another season of one of your favorite shows. Don't cancel us. Don't cancel us.
Got to do the Oprah. All excited.
You get a sequel. You get a sequel. You got canceled. You get canceled.
Okay. And so this one's going to be dropping on 20 April. So we'll get to see how it is.
It's that quick. Oh, they're dropping at 420.
That's right.
That sounds about right for that show.
Sounds about right. All right. You guys ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So we've got some Star Trek news and some really big Star Trek news. I think this is super weird. It's also interesting. I've never seen this before, so you guys can correct me if you've seen this rampant. I'm just on drugs. Apparently, we're getting the entire bridge crew for Picard season 3. So we've got an announcement. This dropped on First Contact Day, which is a reference to Star Trek First Contact and the day that Zephyr Cochrane's ship met the Vulcans. So that was on 5 April 2063. And so that is First Contact Day. And on First Contact Day of this year, this past week, we got an announcement that LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, and Brent Spiner are all coming back for the new season of Picard. What I find interesting about this is it's already been shot from what I've heard. Like it's done, it's in the can, and it's almost like a Mandalorian style thing where you kept the secret for so long, and I just can't believe they were able to keep this secret. Like I remember seeing a tweet from LeVar Burton where he was saying like, I can finally talk about this.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
Yeah, I've never been more excited for the next season of a show before the current season ends. And this season, I'm kind of like, it's wearing on me, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit with Danny because we had a little conversation about this offline, on the line, offline, just not part of the show. But how excited are you guys for this, Danny? I'll start with you because I want to pick your brain about one of the things that's happening in Picard since you're all caught up.
I know I am in the minority right here. In fact, there's 3 of you staring at me right now, and I'm neither excited nor not excited. I don't care. Sorry.
Don't
Sorry,
care.
Trek.
Wow.
Maybe I should rephrase that. I'm not excited. It's interesting news. It would be a nice little fan service thing, but it's not got me like I cannot fucking wait to see it. Because I think what's happened is, Jonesy, jokes aside, we had Deanna Troi and Riker in season 1, right? And we've had Seven come back, and we've had these things happen, and we've now had Data come back in minor spoilers, multiple roles.
Guinan.
Or multiple, yeah, and Guinan back too.
Q.
Maybe not Whoopi Goldberg back, but we're having all this stuff. So I guess when this news
she came back.
She was like, oh, did she?
Yeah, she was in the first episode of this new season, this current season.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Yes, the first episode of season 2. Yes. So I think what's happened in my head is then this is not a surprise. I kind of knew we're going to get them. We've had most of them before. Okay, that's it. So when I say I'm not excited about it, I think I'm a bit numb to it because we've had nothing but throwbacks and recalls as far as some of the characters, especially with season 1 having Deanna and Riker in there. You know, in quite big roles, right? It's a whole episode and in some big speak, not just for fan service.
Pizza eating episode.
Show up and stuff. Yeah, so I think that's where I stand. I'm not excited because it seems like it was going to happen, and we've had some of them already appear. So
okay. Well, let me ask you this then: is Picard going to die?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Properly this time. Yeah.
That's a good way to end it. Yeah, not die and come back as a robot with just human faults.
Yeah, they're not going to retransfer his brain or whatever they did, his neural pathways into a clone.
His little golem.
Yeah,
golem
I think
body.
so. And I think that, and if they do it well, which I'm sure they will, I think it will be in a way that is very fitting for both the character and the actor.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I am excited for the news more than I am excited about what they will actually do, because thus far the best parts of Picard have been the nostalgia, and the rest of it, like the substantive story behind the nostalgia, I'm kind of like, but we'll see.
Yeah. Is Wesley Crusher coming back? I forget sorry, Joe.
He is not part of this announcement.
Okay.
Not that I saw.
I forget the actor's name. I apologize.
Will Wheaton.
Who does all the Ready Room shows? After
so technically he's there already.
Yeah, he's already been a part of all of it, even Discovery.
Yeah. Which I have never watched. Do you guys watch those, Nick? Any of those?
I watched 1 or 2. They're really bad. It's fine.
Okay, good. No, I'm not missing
you
anything.
Don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Nick, how did you celebrate First Contact Day, and are you excited for this news? Because you said that you were going to start the Next Generation, right? Like you haven't.
I watched half the pilot, which is actually an entire episode because the pilot's 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I having seen only the Next Gen movies and the first half of the pilot, I'm still super excited. I think the key to this is you need to get them all in a bridge together. Otherwise, it's not that exciting. Like you have to have them all in charge of a starship again. Otherwise,
does it need to be a starship or just a bridge of some sort of
a bridge of some sort, even like just a regular bridge that you.
Maybe they should put it on the on the Golden Gate.
I'm not feeling Cristobal's ship. Like his little whatever the hell the name of that tiny ship is. Not the Stargazer. I like the Stargazer.
Yeah, I want a Stargazer type thing.
Yeah, Cristobal's like the tiny ship. I'm not a fan of that one.
It's a very different feel than a starship. or a Federation vessel.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't even
I
have to
think-
be a Federation bill. I'm just like, I don't want to.
I don't know. It'd be cool if like they stole a ship and like I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, if it's just like everyone popping up and like helping him on an adventure, like set on Earth or even on like a different planet or something, it's not nearly as exciting as it would be to see them all on the bridge. I don't know why. It is very fitting to bring them all back for the final season of Picard, like a good way to kind of wrap it up. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see the ones like Michael Dorn that we haven't seen come back yet. Michael Dorn specifically will be very fun. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
down
would be
for it. When I
exciting.
read the news, I was like, ah, it's happening. But it could very well be a Star Wars sequel trilogy where you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right at all. They're not even like meeting each other before they like die and stuff.
No, I feel like we've learned our lesson, right? Like that would be weird. That'd be super weird. Nobody's gonna do that again, right?
Right. What do you think, Josie?
About just the news in general.
Yeah, about them coming back.
I said it. I'm more excited for the news than I am what's actually going to happen. The stories for Picard season 1 and 2 thus far, I'm like, one of the things I was going to pick your brain about is, so you and I had a conversation about the way they're using Agnes, Dr. Girardi. She was very frustrating as a character the first season where she committed murder. And then in the second season, they kind of wave that murder away. And then, I'm sorry, spoilers for season 1. And then season 2, she has, if you're not caught up, this is going to be a spoiler. She has accepted the Borg queen into her body. And it's one of those situations where it's like, you could just tell people and they might help you because they're your friends.
Yeah.
And like, I hate that unnecessary drama that they add by not having these people talk to one another.
Especially when they've been through so much together where they would now hopefully be able to tell each other. In season 1, they were all strangers, right? So maybe she was a bit insecure about telling people shit, but they went through so much together. I
wouldn't tell people I murdered someone. I get that. That's fine.
But you would hope that now, like you, it's a very easy and useful way to move plot, isn't it? It's just have them keep this a secret and don't tell them for a few episodes. And it's a very frustrating. And I think we agreed that I certainly think the actress, and I forget her name, I'm terrible at this, but I think she's doing a great job with what she's been given to do. Yeah. She's been given a great job, given that, throwing those nuances in between being almost like Moon Knight, having 2 people within her, and she's wrestling with that. But I do think that they're trying to throw the character under the bus all the time and using her as a way of driving things forward, and it seems to be a bit of a shame. I was quite happy with episode 2, I think it was. Jonesy, before we go too deep into spoilers, is it episode 2 with Shotgun and French Policeman, or is that episode 3?
What episode are we on now? 6?
No, maybe
I think
4
that was
or 5.
Yeah, I think that was like 4 or 5. Yeah, it was definitely. I think it was the last episode. I think it was episode 5.
Yeah, so spoilers coming up, guys, if you haven't caught up in the last couple of episodes of Picard. But the scene where, give me a chance to turn off, the scene where she shoots the Borg Queen, I thought that was great. Oh, great. We've got the shock ending. We thought the Borg Queen was going to take over the whole fucking planet. And now she got, you know what? Fuck you. And blew away with a shotgun. So I was really disappointed when they did that flashback where, the Borg Queen in her dying
moments earlier
managed to bond with the Doc and stuff. And I was like, I kind of like the idea that, no, we all thought the Borg Queen was going to be the protagonist for the next 4 episodes. No, threw you a curveball there. We just blew her fucking brains out. I would have much preferred that. But it is what it is now.
I assume.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I agree with you.
For me, I have been it started off strong. I have been fairly disappointed with Picard the far longer it goes along.
This second season.
The second season. But my main question is, how the hell is like the guy who created Data or a version of him existing in 2024 also?
Soon?
With the same. Yeah. With the daughter he created.
It is just a super strong line of genes, I guess. The Soon line is, hundreds of years. Yeah, Hey, listen. don't know what you want.
So I was like, is there time travel involved there too? Like,
No, I just put that
everything
down to
is
this being a
circles.
multiverse, the same as Guinan meeting Picard in a different way. I just put it down. This is a different timeline, so things don't happen the same. That's in my head canon. I'm trying.
But he's there before the timeline changed. Timeline hasn't
Oh, that's sorry.
changed.
No, you're right. Oh, yes. No,
And
no,
Guinan as
unless
well.
them going, yeah.
Guinan's not a different timeline as well either. The event that changed the timeline has not happened yet, and that is Renee not getting on the flight.
And
So,
I do like that plot point that's about Picard's ancestor being manipulated by Q as a psychiatrist, just like the Matrix.
Yeah. You know what that makes it not good.
What are your thoughts on that, Jonesy? What were you going to pick about?
No, pretty much the same. I agree with most of what you guys are saying. I think that it started out strong. It started out incredibly strong. You got to see a new Stargazer. You got to see Chris as the captain. Like, he was a very different kind of captain. He's sitting there smoking a cigar on the bridge of a goddamn Federation ship, right? Like, from there, you're already kind of like, this is different. How's this going to? And then they go back to the 24th century, or to the 24th, to the 21st century. And Danny, like you said, this is very Voyage Home. And I guess it's okay. And to your point, I don't know if you remember this or knew this when you said it. They even got the punk rocker from that movie.
Yeah,
it's the same guy. It's the same actor.
No,
yeah, it's the same guy.
That.
He's like tweeted about it, and they've been like, "Thanks for returning." And
yeah, that's why I'm shocked that you made that connection without making that connection, because it is the exact same guy, and I'm pretty sure the same song. Yeah, I think his line was like, "I'm sorry, I just like that song." The nostalgia is the best bits. I'm disappointed the further it goes on. I do feel like they're constantly throwing Alison Pill under the bus, but to your point, she's doing a good job with what they're giving her. Even if they the scene where, so that was good, but I mean the scene where the queen is like, okay, I'm going to take over for a while. And there is a change in her face that she makes. Even if they had never changed the color of her eyes, like, you could just
see. They didn't need to do that, did they?
They didn't need to do that. She did such a good job transitioning from one to the other, that I think she's doing a good job. So I'm realizing that problem is not with the actress, it's just what they're doing.
I will say is what's his last name again? My favorite character, the cigar chomping.
I just call him Chris.
So Chris, I do love
his buddies.
Rios.
Wes was calling Christopher, but he calls him Chris.
I love that his reaction to like the 2024, like having real cigars and real food, and like
real
not
matches,
even knowing what some of the being excited about matchbook. Where it's like, look, they put them in like a little book, and there's a bunch of matches in it, and he's just lighting them. And he's like, look how cool this is. The idea
she blows it out.
It's kind of like the reversal of going to the future. You know, you go to the future, like, whoa, look at everything. He's going back in time. And he's like, dude, they had matchbooks. Like, and the cigar is the best thing I've ever fucking had. Did you try the hors d'oeuvres? He's my favorite part of the show. I think he should get his own show. Forget everyone else.
I agree. I think he's a lot of fun. And the other thing that was, I did not care for the guy that's playing the daughter, or the guy that's playing daughter. The woman is playing the daughter. So whoever Soong's daughter is, I was glad they kind of excised her from the show, and now she's back. Because it seemed like this season they did a good job of cutting out some of the fat. So Eleanor, he was gone, she was gone, and now we're like slowly bringing back. It's like,
and then they killed off the Romulan.
Yeah, Eleanor.
No,
that's what I was saying. Like, in the first episode, it seemed like we're getting rid of a bunch of that stuff, and now they're bringing it all back. But so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got, how many episodes have we got of Picard? 10?
I think 10.
So we're over halfway
now, 5.
So it does need to pick up a gear and move on a little bit now, and to keep me excited.
Tickled by the not the time travel, but like the way they cut the episode this time, where like Picard's like dying and it's like 36 minutes earlier. Then like you cut back after the commercial break to Picard dying, and it's like 24 minutes earlier. I kind of enjoyed that. It doesn't save the episode of the series, but it was a treat. It's a little icing on top of a so-so
Cupcake.
Episode.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how they wrap it up. I think that's going to be the determining factor for me. But given that I wasn't excited the way they wrapped up the first season, we'll see what happens this season. I'm more excited about next season. That's just me.
Cool.
Yeah, me too.
All right. You guys ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Danny, I would like to talk to you about Ambulance. So you got to see the brand new Michael Bay flick. This is a film. He hasn't made a movie in a while, right? So the last thing that he made was Six Underground. And I think even after that, the next thing that he was in was Bad Boys 3. So I'm kind of excited to get your take on this, mostly because I'm one of those people. I like Michael Bay movies. Even the ones that people hate, like Pearl Harbor, not a bad movie to me. So I don't know what to say. There's just something wrong with me.
Transformers 2.
Oh,
Terrible movie.
I could see. So the worst part is I can see where there was a good movie in there, but because that movie came out after the writer's strike, I saw why it went bad. If that makes any sense.
The action without a script, that then they wrote the script after.
So like that fight scene in the forest, I was like, this is what I wanted from the first movie. Like, this is just really, really good. So the first and last fights of that movie, so good. Like when Optimus died in the second one, that was great. But we're not here to talk about middling movies. We're here to talk about maybe other middling movies. I don't know.
Well, this is slightly above middling. I don't know if you. So you've got.
I'm going to give you the things. I'm going to help you out. Wait, so it's got a 68%
percent
on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is from the critics. It's got an 80% from the audience. So people not loving it, pretty much like for a Michael Bay movie, that's loving it.
Yeah,
it's that Genreverse icing.
And it's got a 56% on Metacritic. So, Danny, you give me your impressions of Ambulance.
Yeah, well, first thing is why do you guys keep saying ambulance? What
I just like saying it strangely.
Ambulance.
I just mispronounced it earlier before the show and continued to mispronounce it.
Yeah, it's just a fun word to say strangely.
Mr. Ambulance.
Fine. Krakenwagen. Is that what you want me to say?
I would have to say
the German word for ambulance.
What was the film? Six Underground was the last one that I remember watching of Michael Bay.
Yeah.
And for him, he's been very much hit and miss all the way through. I actually enjoyed the first two Transformers movies. The others, I think, are absolute abysmal shite.
I like the third.
3. Yeah, I like 3.
No, I don't.
Better than 2 or 1. There's
I can't stand the way that his geography when it comes to choreographing chase scenes, fight scenes, car chases and stuff, where he just randomly changes the environment and stuff. And so this film is actually the best bits of Michael Bay. On Jonesy, if you're a fan of Michael Bay and you like generally what he does, I think you're really going to enjoy this film. The only thing I'll say quickly is maybe it's a little bit over long, but other than that, it's actually a very, very solid movie. Jake Gyllenhaal and I think he's pronouncing his name right, Yahya Abdul-Mateen. They play brothers. They play the second, yes. I was a great fan of the first. Sequels are normally not so good. So they play brothers, and basically Yahya Abdul-Mateen, the second, he's in a little bit of financial trouble, and he goes to his brother for some help. This is where Michael Bay's downside comes in a little bit, as in they jump through the script very, very quickly. It's like, you would not get up in the morning and then agree to rob a bank in the afternoon. That's literally how quick this moves on. He meets him. Well, who wouldn't? I mean, there's some planning involved. I'm no expert, but I think you need to plan these kind of things down to very, very minute detail. But then Michael Bay clicks into an area where I've not seen him do very good work before, and he actually choreographs the whole bank heist and the build up to the action very, very well. So for me, this is a good Michael Bay film. Once the action heats up, Jake Gyllenhaal is fucking brilliant as a slightly unhinged character. And Yahya himself is great as the more steadying ex-military, what's the word, Jonesy? Help me out. Medical officer in the military. What do you call him?
He's just a medical corps, yeah. Corpsman.
You call him a corpsman, right? So he's one of the, and they are brilliant in it. Their interactions are fantastic. He does a really good job with the action, as in where they are in the city, shall we say, and what's going on around them. So even when he's randomly throwing cars and smashing them up for no reason, which is Michael Bay is prone to doing, at least he keeps some sort of semblance of control over where the geography is, where they're heading. Occasionally he drifts off into a car park just so he can flip some cop cars, but he generally does a really good job of keeping things on the track. It's almost like the writer is next to him saying, no, don't just blow this shit up for no reason. Stay on the story, stay on the ambulance. And that's what the strength of this film is. It's a much more controlled Michael Bay film. The action is Michael Bay action, but the story and the actors within it hold it in place, and which is why I found it much more entertaining and much more engaging. A little bit long, could have wrapped up sooner, but overall a very, very solid. So that 79, 80% in the audience, I would sit there with that as well. I think that's pretty damn good. A little bit overlong, wayward sometimes, but overall a very, very good Michael Bay film.
Do you remember what
really
studio it is?
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it at home. But
yeah.
Like I'm hoping it's Paramount, because Paramount's the one who or Warner Brothers, because Paramount's been putting out all their movies for for free the day they come out on digital. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. So
definitely worth watching. But like I say, a little bit overlong. So you could easily go to the bathroom, come back, and not miss much. And it is helped with the main actors doing a good job. But that's what I mean. He's got some good people around him this time. Michael Bay kept him on the straight and narrow, and it's resulted in a much better Michael Bay film. I would recommend it. If you're a fan of his, you're definitely going to like it. Okay. And if you're not such a fan, give it a shot, because it's a better one of his films.
So Nick, to answer your question, it's Universal.
Oh, they're no fun yet. Yeah, they don't put their stuff out for free the same day it comes out to buy.
I am excited to see this, and one of the things that helped me see it, I had a whole bunch of questions that I was going to ask you, but you pretty much run through all of them. And one of the ones I was going to ask you was about chemistry. I saw Abdul Mateen and Gyllenhaal in a First Impressions. I don't know if you guys watched Lad Bible. And they do this show called First Impressions, where there's a fishbowl, and they have to reach into the fishbowl and do an impression of whoever comes up, and the other person has to guess who it is. I'm crying laughing watching the two of them. And it's not because it's not just the impressions. Like, you can tell that they're having fun, and they had fun making this movie, because some of their impressions were downright awful, just terrible. And it was just fun watching someone else try and guess. So I think that was the thing that got me the most excited to see this movie. What's your favorite Michael Bay movie? Do you have one?
Oh, Jonesy. The Rock, maybe?
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's a good one.
Rock, maybe. There is something about Pearl Harbor that I don't know what it is, but there's something about it. But I think I'm going to go with The Rock. Maybe Armageddon. I'm torn between the two.
When you say there's something about Pearl Harbor, what do you mean?
Well,
you don't like it?
I mean, no, I do like it. There's something about it. No, there is something about it.
We got one.
I think it is the action, in the sense of we never saw something on that scale, and I don't think we've seen something on that scale since then. Particularly the scene where we follow the trajectory of the bomb that's being dropped vertically straight down. That whole attack on Pearl Harbor itself, I think, was absolutely stunning to watch, with its detail and stuff. And even now it holds up very well. And some of the aerial stuff was really good too. So I think it was, strangely, one of his best action films, where he was a bit more controlled and put more on the camera so you could see what was going on. Some of the acting was a little bit off, but yeah, there's something about Pearl Harbor that I actually really enjoy. And if it comes on, I'll happily watch it all the way through again. I'm not angered by it or upset by it. It's okay. But I think it's more likely to be The Rock or Armageddon that I think are my favorite ones.
Yeah, I'm honestly at a loss for the critical reception to Pearl Harbor, just generally. Like, I was like, this is a good movie. And at the time, probably one of his best, right? Just in terms of everything that you said.
I'll have to check it out.
Generally confused. Never seen it. Yeah.
The first two people I've met that have said positive things about it. I mean, Trey Parker and Matt Stone even wrote a song about how bad it was for like 5 minutes in their
I think they're just jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, probably.
As far as I know, it was universally hated, and I was like, I don't I'm very
It
confused.
was. I remember when it came out, everyone was like, because people were really excited for it too. I was. The trailer's amazing.
What
And
I
then-
remember, this is one thing that I remember that stuck out to me. I think people walked in expecting one thing, and there was a lot more emotion and a lot more love story than people were expecting. It's like you walk into a Michael Bay movie, and it is hard to kind of wrap your head around this love triangle that happens in the movie. You're like, this, I wasn't expecting this. I think a lot of those people that were his diehard fans were just very confused about what they were seeing.
Which is strange, isn't it? Considering it's like Titanic, you know that boat's going to sink. So you can't be surprised that sinks. So clearly the story has got to be something other than the boat sinking. And with Pearl Harbor, we know what happened, right? We know the shit that went down. So it's not just a documentary of what happened that day. So there must be another story within what was happening in Pearl Harbor. So why are people surprised that it was going to be a
it might have been a marketing goof. So the other thing that I do remember is it just might be a marketing goof, because I remember people talking about in Japan, because it was Japan that attacked Pearl Harbor, the film was marketed differently. And so they played up more of the love elements in the trailer. So they knew what they were getting when they walked in. As opposed to us, they played up more of the aerial battles and things of that nature. And then they sit there for, it's a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours, something ridiculous like that. And so like, you're just sitting there watching these people fall in and out of love. And I'm gonna watch that movie this weekend.
If I can find it on streaming, I'll probably watch it too.
That probably is.
Kyle, they gave a thumbs down when you guys were talking about it, but
it's a very interesting love triangle as well, isn't it, Jonesy? Well, no spoilers for Nick. I mean, the film's 30 years old. But
it's old. You can spoil it.
And Kyle just jumped in here 3 hours and 3 minutes for this movie.
Holy shit. That's almost as long as one of our podcasts.
Just more explosions. I'll bring firecrackers
less love
next
triangles.
time.
Thankfully,
I think we got one right here.
There's not a love triangle.
Hate triangle.
Although this would make your day better, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Cheer up, we were talking about sex.
Got a love triangle.
Who wants to fly out here and cheer me up?
Excuse me?
I am playing Dungeons and Dragons with Jammer tonight. Maybe he'll help me out.
Is that a euphemism?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Jammer's going to help you out. I'm not coming over to cheer you up.
You can give me a hand.
Bring your dragon in my cage.
Carl used to be quite good in bed till he grew his beard, apparently. now he's hairy for her pleasure, not the other way around.
Hey, I'll just say this. I embarrassed the hell out of a NCO in the barracks want to commented on my my body hair, and I told him quite plainly that my wife likes men, not 12-year-old pool boys. He was manicured, pedicured, as smooth as a swimmer, man. It was fun. It was
like
funny.
Me.
Well, we just learned something about Christine. Then thanks for that, Carl.
Keep her name out of your fucking mouth. That's what I thought Kyle was gonna say.
Oh my God. That would have been good.
See, we learn things on this podcast. That's what makes it fun.
Entertaining and informative. We're here to please you all.
Danny, do you have anything else?
I'm not going to cheer you up.
Do you have anything else to say about Krakenwagen?
Pearl Harbor. The fuck we get into Pearl Harbor?
Michael Bay.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot that ambulance.
Favorite Michael Bay
thumbs up
films.
for ambulance. Definitely check it out. Worth it.
All right.
Absolutely.
I will. All right. You guys ready to move on to? Oh wait, letter grade. I know you said 79, 80. Give me a letter.
I'm gonna have to say, C plus, B minus, C plus. I was close to the B minus there, wasn't I? But C plus.
Yeah, you were. That makes me want to see it. I guess.
Pulled back.
Yeah, but it is still Michael Bay. The little couple of negatives. I'm gonna go with very solid C plus. Absolutely.
Okay.
But you saw how tentative I was to a B minus there, so maybe you should just maybe for you it's a B minus.
It probably will be. Is it better or worse than Moonfall?
Morbius is better than Moonfall. Venom 2 is better than Moonfall.
You know, I might be with you on Morbius. Morbius is probably better than Moonfall.
Do you think Venom 2 is better than Moonfall?
No. I would watch Moonfall 2 more times rather than watch any of the Venoms. I hate
Venom.
I'm moving on. I got to go fast. I got to move on.
Go.
All right. Sonic 2. You guys ready to talk some Sonic 2?
You
ask me questions about Sonic 2. I am ready.
How about you?
I am ready. All right. So Sonic 2, it's got a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and a 98% from the audience. 98%. Shocking. I mean,
actually really high. Actually, I thought if it's 90, I wouldn't have been surprised. But
exactly. Comparatively, so thank you, Kyle. We've got a 93% audience score on the first one. So it's gone up. And it's also gone up from the critics, right? So the critics gave it a 63, the first one, and now they're giving the second one a 68. So we'll see what happens. Like, I think with that score, like, we got an A cinema score for the first one. I would be shocked if this was anything worse, if not better. So as someone who grew up with this game series, I walked out feeling like they got it. Like they completely understood their audience. Like, this was a film that felt like it was geared and made for a younger audience. A lot like the first one was. Like, the first one was as well. This was an absurd movie. It dragged in a couple of places. Like, I think it is very easy to see where they could have shaved out 15, maybe even 20 minutes from this movie, and it would have been more impactful and better. But this was overall a very fun romp. To me, the standouts were Jim Carrey. Like, if this is Jim Carrey's last role, if you guys know anything about him saying that he was going to retire, supposedly he's done, right? He likes a quiet life. He's done with the industry.
He likes painting.
If he goes out on this role, like, this is one of his most Jim Carrey roles. He does the faces, he does the voices, he does, like, he's the frantic, he's all over the place. Like, he is so much fun to watch. And what I really enjoyed about this one as compared to the first one, and the first one, he's kind of like evolving into Robotnik. Like, this is Robotnik, like his version of Robotnik, and he's just like completely insane. And it is fun to watch, like absolutely fun to watch. The other standout for me was Idris Elba. And he's not dumb, but he is very, like, imagine Drax with a few more IQ points. That's how he came off, where, like, he just has this overinflated sense of nobility. And, like, I remember this one scene where he thinks that Robotnik is about to turn on him, and he, like, launches in this speech and talks about he's going to crush him, and being is like, oh, these are stairs. These are just stairs. And, like, the tenor of the conversation just changes. Like, he was so much fun to watch. Listen to. Just his delivery had some of the biggest laughs for me. So between the two of them, I was laughing a lot. Tails was a lot of fun. It was nice that they went back and got the voice actress. So that's Colleen O'Shaughnessy. So she's the voice actress that has been,
like, in the Sonic Adventure games and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So they went and got her. Like, she's super into this. Like, you can tell she's been ready for this for God knows how long. She showed up to the premiere dressed in, like, a gold dress, like the color of the rings. And then around her neck, she had a necklace that looked like the Chaos Emeralds, and it ended on, like, the compass from this. That's the MacGuffin from this movie, or part one of the MacGuffins. She was just all in. And they were a lot of fun. Just like it's weird, we've been talking about Transformers for a lot of this show. Just like in Transformers, the humans are the worst part. They're the least interesting part. There are
except for Robotnik.
Yeah,
like
accepting him
and stuff, like
accepting Robotnik, who, I mean, Jim Carrey is basically a cartoon character. And so it's almost like not him. But everyone else, they did a good job separating them, because you got to see Sonic by himself and Tails and Dr. Robotnik, because the humans needed their own storyline, and they were just they were okay. It sucks because I feel like James Marsden deserves better Like every time I see him, like, why aren't you a bigger star than you are? Because he's definitely a lot of fun. He's a really good actor. But I think that the storyline that they gave him in this was just okay. Adam Pauly, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He was in, like, I can't think of the show that he was in. He was in a Happy Endings. The name of that was the show that he was in. He's a lot of fun. In this, he was just like absolutely wasted. And so I don't understand why.
I meant drunk. No,
no. I mean, he might as well have been.
He was wasted in every scene.
He was just very inconsequential. I will say, like, from the human storyline, I liked so Tika Sumpter, her sister is played by Natasha Rothwell. She ended up playing a Bridezilla, and that storyline was a lot of fun. And I don't want to spoil what happened with that. Actually, I don't really need to go into spoilers for this movie just generally, because it's basically a kid's movie. But her Bridezilla scenes are a lot of fun. And I think that most people will walk into this and enjoy a lot of it, especially all of the stuff that happens between Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles, and walk away feeling pretty good. There were lots and lots and lots of Easter eggs in this movie, like from the names of places to the sounds that they made to musical cues that they hit. If you've played any of the Sonic games, you're just like, you're doing a Leo. You're pointing at the screen like, I know that, and I know that. And it's a lot of fun. So especially like the final act of this movie is so ridiculous and so over the top, but really, really fun for people that have played any of the games, especially Sonic 2. Oddly enough.
Which the poster was designed off of.
Yes, which is great. Like,
I love that
poster. Did you see the TikTok off of that poster?
No.
So there's a TikTok of this guy.
Top.
Like, I don't either, but you know, it's weird. At some point,
Twitter
everything trickles down. Yeah. So he goes up to the poster. He's like screaming. He's like, "What is this? Who did, like, what is this? This like this garbage?" Like, he didn't say garbage. Like, he just sounds very angry. And then he goes, "This is actually really good. Like, I really like this. This is pretty amazing." Like, they were really paying attention to detail. Like, he does a complete 180 from his tone and just talks about how much he loves it, because it's, like you said, Nick, it's lifted straight from the video game cover.
Yeah, that's what's cool about it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just remember back to how much of a disaster all this could have been when they released the original design for Sonic.
Yep.
And how they like took the time to fix it and make it right, and now it's a very popular frame. I'm hanging out this weekend because I can't work, so my employers think I have COVID, even though I don't. It's stupid, but
is that how that works? People walk around and tell you that you have COVID?
No, I took one positive test, but it was a fluke. Like, I was having chest pain, which is why I went to the ER. You know, I had a great week, but so I thought it was COVID, but my test from the hospital is negative, which is a better test than a home test. But long story short, I'll let my friends know that's out. Maybe I'll see it this weekend, because my friends Andrew and Kaylin absolutely love the first Sonic.
Yeah, I think
I need to rewatch it because I don't remember the end, because I was drunk. Well, I don't remember the end of the first one at all. Does it matter? I don't even remember what happened to Robotnik at the end of the last one.
Yeah, you don't need to watch again. Like, this works as a standalone movie. Even if you had never seen the first one, you can glean enough watching, because I don't remember the first movie.
Okay, perfect.
It's pop. The first movie's popcorn, right? There's nothing really substantive about the first one. And this one, you're just like, okay, I got it.
Ooh, Kyle's not happy about that comment.
I don't think that there is, when I say it's popcorn, I mean, there's just like nothing so earth shattering that you need to see, because they actually revisit a couple of the beats from the first one. So like, you'll know where Robotnik is, you'll know that Tails comes. And so they catch people up pretty quick in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the movie, even if you don't remember. I
do want to hear about the post-credit sequence.
I will get there. I will say this, though.
Kyle.
I think that you raise an interesting point. I am fascinated to know what Knuckles would have looked like if they had stayed with that original fucking Sonic design. Like, I don't know if we would have
gotten a sequel with the original Sonic design.
Yeah, man, I don't think so either. But assuming that in the multiverse there was one, what does Knuckles look like in that world? I'm just
His
kind of
big
curious.
teeth, human and like human features.
That's such a weird. I don't understand that story. Like that's such a weird thing. You have a design that has lasted for decades. And it's like
Like to make it look realer,
how
even
did
though
you
he's a
go
cartoon
from that
character.
to that? Like I just whatever. It's so weird.
Like the
Um,
chipmunks. How the
yeah.
chipmunks, they got to be cooler and hip and have like realistic hair. And I don't know.
It's so strange. I mean, he has semi-realistic hair in this. It's just the like a weird face design. But anyway, I think that people will enjoy this. I would give this like it's a weird thing. I think for people that did not grow up with this franchise, this would be a C plus. I think that it would be a B minus if you were into the lore and into the story and things of that nature.
I don't know much of the lore, but I've certainly played the originals and I've played Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 when they were re-released on GameCube.
Mhm.
And that's why I want to ask about the post-credit sequence. Can we talk about that now? Are we good?
You best warn Kyle.
He already
Yes,
took off his
we're good.
headphones when I brought it up.
His headphones off. Yes.
Is it-
So we are good.
Tell me
Oh,
it's Shadow.
it is Shadow.
Yes! That's what I want from the franchise. Knuckles
mean-
is fine, but like,
And
I've
that's the
wanted
weird thing,
Shadow.
though. So what do they do, right? So is he just going to run around with two guns, shooting at Knuckles and Sonic and Tails?
I'm down with it. Does he use guns in the game?
Yes.
He has like a standalone game where he's just like running around shooting.
Oh yeah, he does have a standalone game. I really haven't played. I haven't played anything since. Well, I've played some of the ones they try. Like I played the one where you play as 3 at once, or whatever. But they've done so many sequels and spinoffs that I haven't. Mostly the Sonic Adventure games and Genesis. That's my Sonic.
Yeah. So this will be kind of weird. Like he's the very edgy version of Sonic. He's the one that walks around holding a gun. So
With the shotgun,
yeah.
shoots James Marsden in the head in the kids' movie.
Somewhere there's an article about why is it that you have a black hedgehog that has to walk around with guns, but we're gonna ignore that. Just gonna move on.
Gotta get a white
But yeah.
actor to play him.
It is super quick. It's fast. It is literally like the you know how they do like the animated credits before they go to the black scroll.
Yeah.
Scrolling credits. Okay, so at the end of those animated ones, you get this scene where they're like, "Oh, we found this file, and it's about this one black site that no one knew about for 50 years." And then they zoom to the site, and you see Shadow and like cryostasis, and it cuts to
Oh,
black.
it's like a
That's
Mewtwo
it.
type thing.
Yes, almost exactly
Area
that.
51 with Shadow. Okay.
Yep. So it's so weird. I walked out. I was so excited about seeing it. And the fun thing was, so I saw it at Alamo Draft House and I saw it with my kids. They were into it the whole time. So this movie is pretty close to 2 hours, I think. I gotta find it. But
Okay, if it being slightly under.
yeah, like I said, they could have cut out the
Sounds like they could have cut out
fun.
all the human plot. That's what it sounds like.
They could have cut out a lot of it. Like it does feed into the bigger story, but
Kyle's back with headphones, so
they could have cut it.
Yeah.
You didn't need it.
Cool.
So yeah, I think it's very enjoyable overall. It's
Good.
a lot of fun. So
It's too late for the podcast, but I guess I'll go.
you should take your nephews, Danny.
Yeah, I
Nick, you
will.
can take
But we
yourself.
don't get it.
take my
I think I said that I would take the boys. Yeah, we don't get it for another couple of weeks here. We got the holy month
yeah.
of Ramadan at the moment, so they kind of do some strange things with the big movies that are dropped.
Maybe that's
It's
why
not
you
that we
got
don't
Ambulance
get it
early,
during
too.
this month. Yeah, we don't get Sonic for another couple of weeks, and then that draws us towards the end of Ramadan, which is then called Eid, which is the well, you could almost say that's the Islamic Christmas, for want of a better word. So that's the big celebration, the big family time, the big go
after
away.
we
for that
fasted for
time.
so long, let's eat all we can.
Yeah,
sort of
it's
thing.
the end of it's
That's
the
cool.
celebration. So that's when they'll drop a lot of the big films that they've been maybe withholding. The frustrating thing is they drop them all at once. So like you've got fucking okay, I've got 4 films to catch up on when normally it would be one big one. But anyway,
Doctor
Sonic
Strange
is in
has
a
got to
couple
be
of
the
weeks
same
time.
date.
Yeah, it is.
Doctor Strange is
Yeah,
like 2
Doctor
months
Strange
away
is
anyway.
May the 5th. Yeah, that
Almost
that is
exactly
literally
2 weeks. I mean, 2 months.
May the 5th is literally 2 days after Ramadan ends. So that's from that point of view, that's pretty good timing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
So, yeah, we
speaking
get
of
Sonic in a
that,
couple of weeks.
did you see the news that now that's the highest opening? I mean, the highest
Pre-sales.
pre-sales in
Yeah.
2022. So it
Yep.
beat Batman's like first weekend or day or whatever of pre-sales, whatever the exact. I don't know. I didn't see how specific they were. But I mean, I bought my ticket.
Was it on LRM? Was it on our site where someone had said that maybe the pre-sale tickets are more than Morbius opening weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl's nodding.
Yeah,
Something like
they
that.
were. I'll look it up for you guys real quick.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
it's going to be a
actually-
huge movie.
I actually don't plan on seeing Morbius in theaters at all. I think I'm going to.
don't worry.
Yeah, you're
You won't
fine.
miss that.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I
went to
Watch
see it
on
out
your
of
phone and
solidarity.
spoil it.
I felt bad being like, hey, let's go see this movie, and then just not being able to go see it. So I went to see it.
I felt bad. I saw it
Weird.
twice in 2 days.
It's weird that everybody talks about how terrible this movie is. While, like I said, the Venom movies are just over in a corner shitting themselves.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Jammer and I said, like, it's not terrible. It's average. But yeah, it's average, Nick.
It is.
Watch it at home.
Sorry. Doctor Strange 2 is the top selling from Deadline pre-sales so far in 2022 for Fandango. So there's the caveat, I'm guessing. But they're usually the ones that are putting out that pre-sales stuff.
Were they just my question is what time, like how are they quantifying that? Like day one, like 5 day, like, or is it already beaten that?
Just first day
pre-sale. Okay, day one.
First day pre-sales.
So we'll see how the ticket sales go. I was easily able to get tickets like 2 days after it started. But
yeah. Okay. There's one more thing I'd like to talk to you all about before we pop off. So Halo. Danny, I wanted to have a conversation with you about this because Halo is the reason that you are a gamer. Halo is the reason that you got out of gaming. And so now we have a show that is allegedly, ostensibly based off of this 20-year-old franchise. Allegedly. And you've now seen the first 3 episodes, right?
2.5.
2.5. Oh, that's right. 2.5.
That's his grade of it.
Which I guess kind of, and I think that kind of answers the question I was going to ask you, because here's how I feel about it. What I wish they had done was drop the first 2 episodes, as a lot of shows are doing now. So that way I could have gotten a better feel for what this show is going to be, because I was like, okay, I'm going to wait until I see the second episode before I judge. Now that I've seen the second and third episode, this is not a show for fans. This is not a show for people who were into the lore, or even one for people who like played the games and cared a lot about the story that they were playing. This feels like a sci-fi show with a Halo skin on it. Not only that, it's not a particularly good one. So I wanted to pick your brain and hear what you thought about that.
Yeah, but you've just, as always, you articulate these things so much better than I do, and you pretty much just you pretty much just said it. It's Halo in name and some winks and nods, like the vehicles that they're using, the guns they're using, and his armor, and there's some names of characters and things, but other than that, it seems to be they're playing very fast and loose with trying to get certain things into the show that they think the fans are going to really like, but they're doing it in a way that doesn't seem at the moment to make a lot of sense. And they're not doing it in an entertaining and engaging way to get new fans interested in something like this. It feels very, very hard work at the moment. And I didn't want a Halo series, finally, a live action Halo series, to feel like hard work. I wanted to be as excited about every episode as I have been about, let's say, how we have been about some of the Star Wars shows, like Mandalorian, or some of the Marvel shows. I can't wait till next week. I want to talk about it and get into it. And it's slowed down. I remember some of the first comments that you guys had about some of the CGI on the first episode, and I saw that now. There was some of the transition between the live effects of him in his suit, and then when they had the suit running fast, or it was in a more fast-paced scene, that didn't look right. It looked clearly different, and I was a little bit put out by that. But the actual practical effects I thought were really good. So episode 1, I was like, okay, this has got some real potential, and sadly, it's just gone gradually downhill in episode 2. And I thought, okay, that was establishing some stuff. Maybe episode 3 will pick up, and it hasn't. And I stopped it halfway through. I couldn't be bothered to carry on watching it. It was just so slow. So you're absolutely right. It's a Halo skin on something that at the moment has nothing to get your teeth into, no value, no sustenance or anything. It's very disappointing at the moment.
I like episode
and that kind of
2.
sucks.
I liked episode 2 a lot more than episode 1.
Nick,
I thought the crazy guy was funny.
Before you go on, Nick, tell me what is your history with the
Zero.
franchise, if any?
I've
Zero.
played multiplayer, so I don't
Okay.
know any of the plot. Remember when it came out? I was talking about the CGI. I couldn't even name the aliens. I'm like, the aliens don't look that good, the CGI. And then I was like, oh, Covenant. That's what they're called. I didn't even know the name. That's how little of a fan I am. But the games were fun.
That's kind of the weird thing, right? So Covenant, those were elites. And it is very strange to me that you have not seen. So at this point in the series, we've only seen 3 alien types. We've seen elites, we've seen hunters, and we've seen, I can't forget what Mercy and the rest of those guys are called from the Covenant.
I'm trying to remember I can't remember what they're called either.
But it's very strange to me that you haven't seen any grunts at all. You haven't seen any jackals. You haven't seen any of that stuff. And I wonder if they have just completely excised them from the show.
Budget.
No, that doesn't make any sense to me.
They have to design less characters.
This is one of the most, so one, you don't have to design anything. It already exists.
Yeah.
Right. This show is one of the most expensive. The show is one of the most expensive shows there is. It's millions upon millions. So it's weird. I had this conversation with Pistol Pete and his buddy Josh Wick on their show Nerds Adulting, because one of Pistol Pete's, like, one of the talking points he threw out, I guess there's a theory online that one of the reasons the CGI looks so naff, or one of the reasons that they introduce, I've been calling her Space Karen for lack of a better term, the pet that the Covenant have that in the games they would never have. That the reason that those things happen is because of budget. And I was like, are you serious? So Paramount, Microsoft ran out of money, and this is the reason why, like, their flagship franchise that they've been working to get to the screen for 17 years. And for whatever reason, they just, like, that doesn't make sense to me. And it's not true.
And they got Amblin too. You got your Spielberg money.
Yeah. And so that it's not true. And it doesn't wash with what we know about what this should be. And it just tells me how little they care. But anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted.
Can't believe.
No, I get the feeling at the moment that maybe a lot of that money has gone onto the things that we don't want necessarily to see on the screen. I mean, to Nick's point on episode 2, when we went into that new world, into the mining colony, there's some fantastic, beautiful FX shots in that. But they're the kind of things that we, as fans, or certainly as myself, can't speak for everybody, obviously, that's not what I really wanted to see in my Halo show, was worlds, different worlds. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to visit these worlds, but let's keep it a little bit more contained and give us kind of what we were looking for or expecting from a Halo movie, and then save that for potential season 2s and 3s. It seems to every episode now we're getting a whole new world and a whole new environment and stuff, and I'm okay with that, but you've got to give me something to get my teeth into first, and at the moment we haven't got that. Can only hope, Jones, that there's bigger things to come with those, with the grunts, as Master Chief gets closer and closer to the finale. I can only assume that. But
actually, the second episode,
so they spent $90 million on the show. This show cost as much as a fucking Halo game, and it looks like trash.
Yeah, it's got to be more than Star Trek gets, right? Star Trek looks
don't know.
Amazing.
Like I don't know, and I don't want to say I don't care, but again, because it's Paramount does not. I would think that Microsoft would value Halo more than Paramount does Star Trek comparatively. And so it's just fascinating to me the amount of money that they spent on this for it to look and turn out from a story perspective this way.
I'd like to know the screen time. How long have we seen Master Chief in his armor compared to how long he's been out of his armor now? And to me personally, when this was coming on, when I saw him in his armor in episode 1, I thought, this looks fucking good, and they're doing some of the action stuff really well. And now for almost, and I don't know what happens at the end of episode 3, we've had 2 full episodes where he's not even been in his fucking armor.
Yeah.
And that was my whole experience as the gamer playing Halo. It was in his armor. And so, come on. That's. I know the whole Judge Dredd, don't take the helmet off, pay the actor, but Master Chief has always been in that reflective screen helmet. I would like to see more already.
Here's where they fucked up. Part of what I think is their mistake is in the journey of getting from conception to here, the 17 years, you've had Judge Dredd on the big screen multiple times. You've had Mandalorian. You can't tell that story now without someone going, oh, you're just doing that. So they had to find a way to do something slightly different, and just them dragging, or like, I don't want to say dragging the heels, whatever caused this show to take so long, be it the movie that they were trying to make or this happening, is what caused, I think, this direction. That's just my theory.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Sounds like a good working theory, and because at the moment we've got not much else to go on. I will watch the rest of episode 3 probably before I go to bed tonight, just because there's 15 minutes left and I've got slight OCD. But other than that, I'm more excited about Picard next week than I am about Halo, and I never thought I'd be saying that. You know, not that I am a Star Trek fan, but I just thought I'd be more excited about watching an episode of the Halo series finally. But yeah,
they've made some like troubling comments when it comes to this, and like one of the things that one of the showrunners said something like, we didn't look at the game or something like that when talking about it. And I think I can kind of understand what he means. I can excuse the idea being that it is hard to make a narrative that is just straight from gameplay. And so they went and they had a boot camp at 343 Studios, and they explained to them the lore and all this other stuff. But even knowing that, it seems like they took the worst bits of what 343 told them. Like, for me, outside of the gameplay, this is a story about Master Chief and Cortana. And it is hard for me to get down with the way they have presented their relationship. Yeah.
I've got this, as you were speaking there, Jonesy, slightly off kilter. I've got that scene in the latest Matrix film where they're talking about what made the Matrix popular. And there's that whole thing going on. Right? What made Halo popular? Let's not do any of that.
We're going back to the
scene. I hate that movie. I hate the fourth Matrix, but that scene has become a touchstone for how I imagine creatives that do this interact with the media. That, again, there are gamers that have been playing this game for almost decades at this point, and it doesn't feel like their enjoyment of the franchise is being put into what we're seeing on screen. I don't know who they're going for.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because this conversation we're having now comes right off the back of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a fucking game that's been transferred to the big screen twice in a row and has got better the second time. They get it.
Yeah.
Figured that shit out. They got it. They got it. They knew how to finally make a game, a movie. And Halo had so much more, and this was a spinning fucking hedgehog collecting rings, for fuck's sake. The Halo had a inbuilt narrative and story that's, like you said, been running for almost 20 years, and they are struggling to find a story. But Sonic can build a story out of a hedgehog collecting rings. Brilliant.
I think what's fascinating about what you just said is we are kind of in a, for lack of a better phrase, a golden age of that, where Uncharted wasn't great, but I think it's better than Halo. Detective Pikachu was leagues better than what we're seeing.
Oh yeah.
Castlevania, right, on Netflix. You have so many examples of people being able to mine the lore and just create these amazing products. And it's just, it is baffling to me that this is what we got. So I don't know.
Yes, disappointing is the word so far. We've got a few episodes left though, right?
Why am I still watching it? I don't know why I'm still watching it. I think either I have OCD or I feel like there's a part of me, I don't hate it. It's just disappointing. And I would like to see where they end up with this thing.
I want to be less disappointed by the end of this series. I'm not talking about my love life.
I think that's a good way to say it. I hope I am less disappointed by the end, because this is a thing that I love. But, you know, just like Cowboy Bebop, I'm not sure we'll get there. Anyway, Nick Dahl, do you have anything else about this?
Oh, sorry, Nick.
No.
No.
I'm gonna watch it to the end because this not lore stuff isn't bothering me, but the show is also not exciting me either. It's just like, it's on the same day as Star Trek. Might as well watch another Paramount Plus show.
So here's the thing. I agree with you. It should be less about the lore, but in talking about the show, it helped me solidify like this idea. And I think I said this to you before. I will give a creative as much rope as they need to create their own thing. Like I'm not in control of this franchise, so I kind of have to, right? So I'll give you that shot. At the point where I'm disappointed in what you've done, then I will start to beat your head over the lore. Then I will beat you over the head with everything that already exists. It's like, because that's the thing that got my ass in the seat to begin with. Why the fuck didn't you just do that? You had it all right there. And so that's what's frustrating to me. I try not to be an entitled viewer of stuff, and I'll give you your shot. But I feel like they have fucked up, or I am certainly at this point disappointed. So now I'm going to beat you over the head with the stuff that's better, that has gotten millions of people to watch this game and play these games for, like I said, almost decades at this point. So
yeah. As Jerry Maguire would say, they had me at Halo.
How long has that one been in your pocket?
About 13 seconds when Jonesy said they had me in the seat already. I'm like, you had me at hello.
That's a good point to wrap it up, right?
I agree. There's one thing I do want to touch on. So Kyle gave us some late breaking news. I think this is interesting news, especially since we started out with the Ezra Miller assault stuff. So apparently Will Smith has been banned from the Oscars for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is the adjudication. And so off of the slap that you guys talked about the last week, this man will not be able to go to the Oscars until he's in his 50s now, right? So he'll be 60 something by the time he is able to go. That's fascinating.
The Scientologists couldn't even save him. Maybe they lowered it to 10 years by getting involved. Maybe it was like lifetime ban, and then the head of Scientology is like, look, Will Smith's an important dude. Let's shorten it down to 10 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So, that's let's see. I'm trying to find. The Academy expressed deep gratitude to Mr. Rock for maintaining his composure under extraordinary circumstances. This action we are taking today in response to Will Smith's behavior is a step toward a larger goal of protecting the safety of our performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy. We also hope this can begin a time of healing and restoration for all involved and impacted.
Chris Rock did handle it like a champ.
I have thoughts and feelings about that, but we'll save those for next time. You know, all the people that are acting like they're traumatized off of the back of that's the thing that's frustrating to me. But
think more, if you want to be traumatized, think more about that Rust movie and Alec Baldwin.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of.
The Academy Awards.
Well, so that's what my brain immediately goes to, and it's frustrating to hear one of the loudest voices talk about how traumatized they are. Amy Schumer talk about, I was so traumatized by this, but then also at a set talk about Don't Look Up. Oh, I thought the title was Don't Look Up, and the end of Alec Baldwin's gun. Everybody on the Rust set actually saw someone get shot, but you're traumatized by a slap. But it's still okay for you to make it. Like, the hypocrisy of her and a bunch of all of these other people is so frustrating that I could go on about this for another, I don't know how long, however long you guys have got. But we shouldn't do that. We should wrap up the show because we've had fun, right? We've had a good time, and nobody needs angry me at the end of a show. So
maybe next week.
Maybe next time. So, folks, if you like what you heard, do all the socials, like, rate, comment, subscribe, share. We would certainly appreciate it. Also, LRM and the Genreverse Podcast Network have other great content for you to find, like, share, listen to, and love. Nick, where can you be found?
I am at Geeky Nick Doll, as you can read below. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube these days. We are visual, and you can see our ugly mugs. So at Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter. And I also do Marvel Multiverse Mayhem with Kyle looked at me and pointed at me with
you're so close.
Kyle. And we're covering Moon Knight these days.
Well, at least you got his name right. Good. At least I'm glad you got Kyle's name. Danny, where can you be found? Playing Halo, of course.
I'll be found at home finishing watching Halo. That's about it.
And you can find me, of course, tweeting at Sir Jonesius and right here on Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Folks, as always, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on ya.
You're not going to say anything,
I'm not saying bro.
Dan.
Mission accomplished.
Oh, that.
You're stoic silence. You're stoic silence.
I was waiting for the direction.